Summary of the Once and Future King by T.H. White. The first book in the series, The Sword and the Stone, is where the character Wart, who would eventually become King Arthur, is introduced. Wart lives at the Castle Savage with his guardian Sir Ector and Sir Ector's son Kay. He is taught by Merlin, a strange magician. Merlin changes Wart into many animals when he is young, including an ant, a fish, a badger, and a goose. Each adventure teaches him something about violence and power that will help him when he becomes King of England. All of them go to London for a competition after Kay gets knighted and Wart becomes his squire. The old King Uther Pendragon died not long ago and left no child. It is said that the new King of England will be the person who can pull a strange sword out of a stone. Wart is Kay's squire, and he pulls the sword out of the stone without realizing it. He is then crowned king. In the end, Merlin tells Wart that he is King Uther's child by someone else, and that Merlin has always known this. Gawain, Gaheris, Gareth, and Agravain are the Orkney boys who we meet in Book 2, The Queen of Air and Darkness. The sons of Queen Morgause and King Lot. Arthur's half-brother. While this is going on, a young King Arthur is trying to stop King Lot's Gaelic revolt. Arthur is making plans for how to run the country after the fight. He has the idea of the Round Table. His plan is to use might for right through the order of the Knights of the Round Table. He will get knights together who will only use their strength and violence to do what's right. The table will be round so that every knight is on the same level. In the end, Arthur puts down the rebellion, and Queen Morgause comes to court to make peace with Arthur for King Lot. She ends up getting together with him and having his son, Morfred. Lancelot's story is told in Book 3, The Ill-Made Knight. Lancelot is a boy when he meets Arthur for the first time. He decides to become Arthur's best hero, even though he has doubts about his abilities. After that, when Lancelot is a young knight at King Arthur's court, he falls in love with Queen Guinevere, who is married to King Arthur. Because Lancelot is in love with Guinevere, he goes on a series of tasks that end with a young girl named Elaine seducing him. When Lancelot and Guinevere get back to Camelot, they start an affair. However, this ends quickly when Elaine shows up carrying Lancelot's child. Lancelot goes crazy because Guinevere is so angry, and he walks around England for years as a crazy person. Years later, Elaine finally recognizes Lancelot as a crazy person she sees on the street. When he gets back to Camelot, Arthur's order has already started to fall apart. The knights have turned on each other because their violence has fixed most of the problems. His knights will become better people if he sends them on a quest for the Holy Grail. 3 knights, Sir Bors, Sir Percival, and Sir Galahad, Lancelot's son by Elaine, find the Grail in the end, but their work makes them too good to go back. Lancelot comes back as a holy and changed man, and he doesn't want to start dating Guinevere again. However, they quickly start dating again after she is kidnapped and Lancelot saves her to protect her honor. Arthur's order is really broken in Book 4, The Candle in the Wind. Because they hated each other, Agravain and Mordred, Arthur's son, set out to end Arthur's rule. They choose to use Arthur's new rules, which say that instead of a fight to decide blame, a jury and proof should be used, to show Lancelot and Guinevere's relationship. They do this, and Guinevere is almost killed, but Lancelot saves him at the last second. But when Lancelot saves Guinevere, he kills 2 of the Orkney brothers who were not armed, Gareth and Gaheris. Mordred and Gawain tell Arthur to attack Lancelot's castle, which he does. The lovers ask the Pope for forgiveness, which he gives them. However, Lancelot is sent back to France. Arthur and Gawain follow Lancelot to France and attack him again because Gawain needs to get revenge for his brothers' deaths. While they're in France, Mordred calls himself king and says that the king is dead, which is not true. Besides that, he tries to marry Guinevere against her will, but she hides in the Tower of London. When Arthur comes back to England, Gawain lets Lancelot go free so that he can help Arthur. The book ends just before the final fight against Mordred. Arthur is aware that he will die in the fight, but that Mordred will lose and his legacy of favoring justice over violence would carry on after his passing.
About the author. White was born in Bombay, India, to English parents. He had a rough childhood because his father was a drinker and his mother didn't care about him. When White was 14, his parents split up. White went to an English high school and then to Cambridge University, where he wrote his thesis on Le Morte d'Arthur by Thomas Malory. White was taught by the scholar and author L. J. Potts at Cambridge. White called Potts the greatest literary influence on my life. After graduating from Cambridge, he taught at Stowe School for a while before moving into a workman's cottage and writing a series of books about disasters and fantasy worlds. Fall 1937, he went back to Malory and wrote The Sword in the Stone. It came out in 1938. While the Second World War was going on, White went to Ireland to avoid fighting. The last 3 parts of The Once and Future King were written during this time. The account of White by Sylvia Townsend Warner says that he was homosexual and a sadomasochist, and he never got married. White moved to Alderney, one of the Channel Islands, in 1946 and stayed there for the rest of his life. He became a heavy drinker near the end of his life. He died of a heart attack in 1964 on a ship at Piraeus, Greece.
Hope we summarized it fully and you liked it. Please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel so that we are motivated to create more videos.